My name is Pastor Olusegun Oludipe, as he has rightly said. I'm the director of ACSI in Nigeria and West Africa Anglophone countries. ACSI Nigeria officially started about 10 years ago, though we were operating about 14 years ago, but officially it was inaugurated 10 years ago by our president in the US, because the head office of ACSI is in Colorado Springs in USA. But we have a head office in Nigeria, number 19 Adeniji Street. We are committed to raising godly seed. In fact, our vision or our mission, let me start with our mission, is to strengthen Christian schools and equip Christian educators so that they can disciple these children one-on-one for God and to the glory of God. I remember very well, even when they are intellectually intelligent and without knowing God, we'll be breeding intelligent devils. And that is why we are committed, we are passionate about ensuring that these children have the fear of God and they also work according to the will of God. By God's grace, we have our board members from different denominations in Nigeria. That's one thing that is unique about us. But I'm glad I'm in Oyo State, where we have a change of baton. Just yesterday, we have Evangelist Lillian Bademosi as the new coordinator of Oyo State. And I'm trusting God that now that I'm in Oyo State, greater things will happen, because it's a new dawn for us in Oyo State. Thank you and God bless you.
Okay, they kidnap these children for ransom. What is your association doing to make sure that this does not happen in Christian schools?
Thank you very much. Spiritually, we are praying, but beyond the spiritual, we know there's need for us to act physically. One major thing we have encouraged our schools to do is to ensure that they all increase their security team. Not only the security team, security gadgets. I realized that even to purchase CCTV now is not that expensive. There are some CCTV you can get as cheap as 100,000, even lower. And we have told them to install CCTV where necessary. But more importantly, I know even these bandits, they operate in the neighborhood. And that's why we have encouraged all our schools to have a better relationship with the policemen around them. They must have the number of the DPOs. They must have the numbers of even the fire services. They must also have the numbers of the vigilantes. We know we have neighborhood watch. And that is why if there's a good relationship, not even when they are attacked, if they can have good relationship with them even before all those things happen, rest assured that their school will be secured, their school will be guarded, and when they raise an alarm, I'm sure they will come to their aid. But more importantly as well, we have also told them to educate their students on what to do. As we do fire drill, let's also do security attack drills, so that at the end of the day, God forbid, we can pray, but even the scripture says wash and pray. As we pray, they should wash. And if such thing happens, they know what to do, how to raise alarm, who to call and who not to call. Thank you.
How do we convince our children that education is still the best option in everything we are doing? Because we have multinationals sponsoring some of these TV reality shows here and there, and the winners are giving humongous amount of money, which even people who have just left school cannot even afford to get. So how do we convince our children that education is still, going to school is still the best option? How do you do that in a society where money is almost a god and people bend down their knees at this god at the expense of intellectual development?
You have just asked me a question that many times I weep when I hear such questions. The last Big Brother Nigeria winner was given a lot of money, thousands of money. In fact, he went to a particular state. I don't want to mention the name of the state, and I know it's in southwest here, where the governor announced him as an ambassador. He gave him 3-bedroom flat. Apart from that, he gave him 5 million. And at the end of the day, I was teaching a Bible study, and one of my children raised his hand and asked a question. So if all it means to make it in life is to go for Big Brother Africa or Big Brother Nigeria, do I need to go to school? But one thing we have done in Association of Christian Schools International is to ensure we de-emphasize the star mentality, because it doesn't last. It doesn't last. You may be a star today, tomorrow you are no longer a star. what we do is we ensure that we inculcate into our curriculum or co-curricular activities, teaching these children value. I cracked a joke. I said good minus God. You can also do it. Those of you listening to me at home, write good and write God. Good minus God. What is left there is zero. So good minus God is zero. So we always ensure we teach them value from the elementary class. And apart from that, there are three domains of education. We have the cognitive domain, we have the affective domain, and we have the psychomotor domain. Though many schools we focus on the cognitive domain, best student in English, best student in mathematics, but what we encourage in ACSI is that they also emphasize and also concentrate on the affective and the psychomotor domain. Someone is good in sport. In the school, you can still go to school and also be a sport person. Odegbami is also an engineer, and he happened to be one of the greatest footballers in Nigeria when he was playing football. So we encourage our students that you can still go to school, you can be a professional, and that is what is going to last. And in addition to that, you can still use God's gifts in your life to still fulfill purpose in life. Thank you very much. We know the educational state is in shambles. In fact, the decadence is so much, but we keep on praying. We keep on encouraging our children to be focused, not to derail. I tell them distraction, they are enemy of distinction, to hinder them from getting to their destination. So I always encourage them, they should be focused. It's a matter of time. Those tasks will last for a while, but if they can focus on their education, by the time they make it, they will make it and they are known forever. Social media is another is another thing that is heavily influencing the young minds, because of its easy accessibility. How do you, because it has exposed children to a lot of things which they ought not to be exposed to. Now, what is the take of the schools under your association on the vexed issue of moral decadence in schools? How do you hope to curtail the spread of moral decadence in schools as a result of social media exposure? Well, on social media, considering the prevalent situation in the world, not only in the country, there's no how we can tell our children not to go to the media or not to go to the social media or not to use internet. One thing I always believe is when you teach a child the way he will go, when he grows up, he will not depart from it. There's no how we can stop our children from going to this social media. But the only thing we encourage them is they don't allow it to distract them, number one, and they don't go to the bad sites. There's no how. Even those of us that are adults, if you're not very careful, you realize that social media takes a lot of our time. How much more teenagers, how much more these children? I think all we do is just to continue to tell them to be focused. We also teach them in school on what to do on time management. Sometimes I like to crack jokes with them because they remember my jokes. And I know in our schools too, we tell them, stop doing Facebook and face your book. Some of them can spend 3 hours on Facebook. And the funniest thing, those people you see on Facebook, some of them, they may not make it. I'm not saying all of them. Some will become stars, some will make it, some knows how to manage their time. But one thing is we teach them time management. And in addition to what you do, ensure that you are focused on your studies. But that we're going to stop them totally, they are youth, we can't stop them. But the only thing is we tell them to manage their time and manage it effectively so that at the end of the day, they are not distracted. They can manage it two together, but the aspect of the social decadence, because I know we have cyberbullying, we have sexual immorality, we have a lot of things going on site. I mean, talk about even pornography. I don't want to go into all that. We have many of them on our site now. Even if you don't want to go into those sites, they pop up. The word of God will take his place at that particular time. Blessed is the man who sitteth not, who standeth not. Others may, but I will not. And sometimes we tell them, what would Jesus do? WWJD. At a time such as this, what would Jesus do? Would Jesus check the pornography site? Jesus will not. They will not. If Joseph can say when he was alone and he had opportunity to sleep with Potiphar's wife, If Joseph can say, how will I do this and sin against God? They should also be able to tell themselves, how would I do this and sin against God, though no one was there watching me. Thank you, and God bless you.
Okay, what is missing in our own curriculum?
Thank you very much. I must first commend those that planned the curriculum. They did a fantastic job. They did a very good job having the curriculum. But let me even start by even the one we have presently. The 6334 system is done in such a way that when you spend 6 years in the primary school, if you spend 3 years in junior secondary school, you should be independent to do some things. I mean, your technological know-how must increase. How many schools have the technological tools? How many schools today have TD, technological teachers? How many schools, both public and even private? In fact, privates are even better. Apologies. I've been to, almost about 26 countries in Nigeria. And by God's grace, I've visited some publics and also private schools. Some even private schools have more equipment than even the public schools. So even the current curriculum we have, what provision have we made? What budget have you even made? Even the budget that has been allocated to education, how effective have they been utilized? Not to talk about the implementation of the curriculum. Well, I'm not going to condemn what we have presently. I will never condemn that. It's good, but the most important thing is how are they implemented? The only aspect I would desire that we add more to our curriculum is a place of critical thinking. I did my master's in Germany, and by God's grace, when my first class and my first tests, I scored 0. And because, in fact, we were told, please, you are free to use your textbooks. I said, oh, you didn't know I'm from Nigeria. So I did what is called Agberu Agbeso. Garbage in, garbage out. And the lecturer told me, Shegun, oh, we taught you. You are not supposed to give back to us what we have taught you. You are supposed to internalize. Now, in your own word, give us what we have taught you. In fact, they encouraged me to criticize what they have taught me with references that can challenge what they have taught me. I remember there was a time I challenged one of my lecturers, what he taught me. I failed that course. I nearly repeated that course. There, you can criticize, you can challenge your lecturers if you have your facts and figures. But here in Nigeria...
Okay, let me as you stop you there.
Please go ahead.
Why do we not encourage critical thinking in our educational sector? Why do we hate it? Because it appears we hate critical thinking. And when you are thinking, when you think outside the box, they see you as a rebel. How do we correct that impression in schools? Because critical thinking, we make students to be people that is they know what they're doing.
Exactly.
They will not come out as just like robots. Why do we discourage critical thinking even in our home? Because it starts from home. When a child asks some question, we shut him down. We not allow him to criticize us. A child will ask you a question, why must I put food in my mouth? How do we encourage it right from as on the home front?
And that is where we need the media. We need group like this to please help us talk so much about the need for effective. There are different types of parenting, and like you said, charity begins at home. And I knew when we were growing up, when our parents ask us questions, we have no cause to ask them questions. But the children of nowadays, they will ask why, and that is why I would encourage schools, primary school, secondary school, to always learn to answer the children's why. They've created so much fear in us. When we're growing, the fear was so much that you cannot even challenge your teachers. But I think things are changing gradually, because the children that are coming up now, they are white children. They want to ask questions. And we need the media to help us give room for us to talk about critical thinking. Even the emotional intelligence of some of these children are affected because we have shut them down. So I also think at the university level, we should also encourage critical thinking. And I think that is where, if there's need for a change in curriculum, if there's need for us to add one or two things to the curriculum, the place of critical thinking is very important, so that they are not just robots. And the place of research and researches should also be encouraged. And I also want to believe that more fund should be given into researches, unlike before. For example, they've been talking about coronavirus, advanced countries are looking for way. What are the things they can do to resolve it? Nigeria is thinking of importing vaccines to fascinate people. Why can't we also get some group of professors? Professors are specialists in a particular field. Why can't we get our professors to come together and we fund them to look into what we can do to resolve it? But we are satisfied with just buying. Sometimes even they are giving to us, or I don't want to go into all the politics, But the most important thing is I think there should be room for experimentation, for them to experiment what they've taught, what they know, so at the end of the day there can be innovations. We can allow them to be creative. I think the government needs to do something about that, especially the Ministry of Education. So
the problems you have so far identified that is bedeviling that sector.
I'm trusting God to help me. It's a big question. I think there's be need for general overhauling.
How do you overhaul it?
Of the system. The present challenge we have in the educational sector in Nigeria has been there for ages. So I think the best thing is for us to first of all get a group of people of like minds to sit down together to identify more of the problems. Not only the problem, some of us we know the problem, but what are the roots of the problem? If we can get the root of the problem, it will be easier for us to look into how to resolve it. For example, I talk about examination malpractices. It's a major challenge in Nigeria, and that is why you see even in the universities, even in some, let me even say, colleges of education, primary school, they cheat. And I think if we can first of all look at the junior schools, or let's say elementary classes, if we can have people that are genuinely sound, academically sound, if we can start from there, I trust God that God will help this country. But I know starting from the top may not be the best, and you can't retire people. It's not possible. But I think with orientation, getting right people in place, getting right vice chancellors in place, I think we'll go a long way to help. And also, I also believe with prayers. There's nothing God cannot do with prayers. I think with that, we can start from there. And if there are other things we need to do, there's some I may not want to make known, so that at the end of the day, they will not think you are opposing one person or the other, or you are proposing one academic setup or the other. We need to also revise the curriculum. I'm sorry, I need to say that. Okay,
Pastor Olusegun Oludipe. We some of the problems we have so far identified in our education is that we are a country that loves certificates, and this love for certificates encourages cheating. As far as you flaunt a certificate, nobody bothers to know what is inside your head. But don't you think that if we became less certificate conscious, it will help us a long way? Because I have seen a situation where a group of people came. A lot of people brought some certificates you have not even seen, out of the world certificate, and some came with little certificate, and they are the people that do the job. Don't you think that is one of the problems we have in this country, that everybody wants to be certificated, even without having anything in their brain? Do you suggest that we lay less emphasis on certificate? Because you school in Germany, do they hanker so much on certificate?
Thank you so much. I must confess to you that we need to de-emphasize the issue of certificate in Nigeria. I agree with you 100%. We also need to look into our methodology of teaching. It's key. I remember very well that when I was doing my master's, like I said, in Germany, there are several times that they will ask me questions and I will not get the question right. And for once, none of the lecturer told me you were wrong. None of the lecturer told me to sit down. They will rather direct me to how to get the answers. At master's level, I remember very well, one of my lecturers sat down beside me and I was coaching me in the classroom. After the class, was trying to, because he realized that it's like psychologically I was disturbed. Can you imagine that you are sitting in the classroom and you are getting almost 2 or 3 questions wrong in the classroom within a I'm like, wow, what is happening to me? But they sat me down, they were encouraged, they gave me their textbooks to use. But let me not digress. Let's talk about the use of certification. The issue of certificate in Nigeria, I think we should play less. Let's get people that can do the job and do it well. And that is why I will still encourage that we honor people from technical schools. More technical schools should be created where people with their psychomotor domain can also effectively implement the gifts God has given to them. Some are very good in the use of their hands, some are very good in the use. But when we have colleges of education, technological of education, when we have also technological school where they can also display God, they may not be good in English, they may not be very good in mathematics, but they are good, they are creative, they can design. I think I want to encourage that more schools should be created in that line, so that even they can also be given opportunity. Even if they don't, you realize that if you didn't pass mathematics, English, you can't go to university. I think another school should be created for students that are technically inclined, so that they can go to such school without mathematics and English, and they will still have the same rank, quote and unquote, or the same certificate with those that did masters or that finished maybe bachelor in one area or the other. I think we need that in Nigeria.
How do we enforce discipline without damaging the children psychologically? How do we enforce this? Because I remember the time we were growing up, it was a tough time. You cannot even walk the same route with your teacher. If you do anything in school, you are thoroughly flogged. Or even your parents will even come. But these days, you discover that it's no longer happening. You understand? And so how do we enforce discipline in Christian schools without damaging the children psychologically? How do we enforce it?
Thank you very much. I'm an advocate of Christian discipline. I did my master's in Germany on Christian discipline, and I came to Nigeria. I used Nigeria as a case studies. I can say confidently, number one, if you cannot disciple a child, you don't have the right to discipline such child. Many of us, we don't know the difference between punishment and discipline. Punishment has to do with inflicting injury on a child so that the child will remember what he has done. That is not discipline. And that is why if you can dichotomize between discipline and punishment, it will go a long way to help. What we do in most cases in Nigeria is punishment and not discipline. And for you to discipline a child, number one, there's need for us to love the child. And let the child also know that you love him. When you discipline out of love, it's easier for the child to come to self-realization that what he or she has done is wrong. But when you want to discipline a child because you want to punish the child, even before you tell the child, bring your hand, he's already stretching forth his hand. Even before you tell the child, kneel down or prostrate, the child is telling you, I'm standing in my heart, but I'm prostrating physically. I've seen situations whereby a child was flogged 12 strokes of cane on the assembly, and the child was told to hold a table, and the child did not shake. They gave the child 12 strokes of cane, and after giving the child 12 strokes of cane, the guy walked majestically to the hall, and the other student hailed him. Oh, is that discipline or punishment? At the end of the day, the teacher has not disciplined. Another major thing I tell schools now, especially Christian school, and you don't copy the rules and regulation of a particular school and also make that your own rule and regulation in terms of discipline. I went to a particular school some days ago, and they were using tie and jackets. And if you don't dress up properly with the use of your ties and whatever and your jacket on, they were punished. They were seen as indiscipline. And I got to the school in the afternoon, and I told them what you have done is wrong, because you can't compare schools that has AC, that are putting on jackets, that are put on tie. Your school, you don't have AC, and you are telling the student to put on jacket. When you create a rule for them to default in the rule, they will definitely be in discipline. And that is why, for those schools listening to me today, it's a privilege that you are here listening to us. Go and check your rules and regulations. There must be at least 3 reasons why you have that rules and regulation in your constitution or your handbook. You are telling students to use long sleeve. Why should they use long sleeve when they can use short sleeve? when you know the environment in Nigeria is hot? Why should they tell them that they should not? I don't know. We need to look into it. Let's show love to them. We can also find a way of also denying them instead of flogging all the time. We can deny them of some things. We can deny them of maybe playing football, deny them of going for cinema, divide them. We can even deny them of. But the UNESCO did not permit anyone to deny children of food. Please take note of that. If you deny them of their rest, you can deny them of playing football. And even when you're going to deny students of some things, be rest assured you know their temperament. When you are telling a child that is an introvert to go and kneel down, you are helping that child. You are telling a child that's an extrovert to go and be distributing plates or chin all around. You are just helping the introvert. He doesn't want to read before. An extrovert wants to play, and you are telling an extrovert to go and distribute maybe chin in the school. You are just helping. The child is finding. In fact, the child is finding. It's getting fun. It's having fun. It's having fun. I remember there was a school that told a child that is an extrovert. It was on suspension for 3 days. After the third day, the boy continued. The fourth day, the fifth day. I said, it's for 3 days. I said, yes, don't worry, let me continue to do it. And that is not discipline. So, to discipline is to ensure we make the child realize that what he has done is wrong, and he has come to realization and has made up his mind or our mind not to go back into it. And that's why counseling is very important after punishment or after discipline. Can I also say this? When you look at the Nigerian Nigerian policy on education, teachers we are not allowed to use cane or corporal punishment. It's the head teacher that is permitted by law, or the principal that is permitted by law to use cane on any child. And when that is even done, there's a logbook where the head teacher or the principal will write the type of offense the child has committed, the time maybe the cane or maybe the punishment was administered, at what occasion. All has to be documented for reference purposes. And that's why when we talk about discipline, we need to be very careful. Discipline should start from home. And I think parents should take their role in using anything, any means, even if they want to use cane at home, to ensure their child are well taught and are well brought up in the way of the Lord. We teachers, remember, you are just a surrogate parent. Thank you.
Okay. The final question. You are the national director of Association of Christian Schools International, both in Nigeria and West Africa. I know that some schools are Christian schools, but they are not under your umbrella. How do you hope to bring them in? And what's the relationship like among the schools that are in your association?
Let me start with the last question. The schools in our association, our slogan is Stronger Together. Stronger Together also depicts that the weakest among us determine our strengths, meaning we collaborate, meaning we strengthen each other. There's a good relationship between member schools. In fact, it is only in ACSI Nigeria that member school will be free to go to another school and see how they operate. Several times I've recommended schools, upcoming school, to standard school to go and view what they do in those schools. And at the end of the day, they will give them books. They will open their doors. We are not to hide anything from ourselves. And that's in SS, I can tell you confidently that we don't hide anything from ourselves. We have trained not only in Nigeria. I've taken some schools to South Africa more than 10 times. I've taken some to US by God's grace. We plan to go to Rwanda last year, not for COVID-19. We are really enjoying what is called agape love among us. And we are also there to assist ourselves, not only spiritually, we assist ourselves financially. And apart from that, I remember very well that we give scholarship to our member schools. That has been wonderful, has been fantastic, and I want to commend all our schools for doing this. They give scholarship to some of their students. And apart from that, I remember we just started a scholarship to an higher institution in Indonesia, and it's free tuition, feeding, free accommodation, and we are trusting God to extend that to even non-member school if they can join us. To non-member school, we are trying as much as possible to encourage them to join. We can only encourage them. And that is why those listening to us now, this is an opportunity to invite you to join Association of Christian School International. Apart from raising godly generation for God, which is very important to us, they have 10% discounts of all our resources. We sell books, even we ensure we train teachers, we ensure that we accredit their school to international standard. Those are the benefits they enjoy. If you have not joined, we want to encourage you to join us. And if you are interested in getting more information about us, you can go to our website, www.accsinigeria.org, www.accsinigeria.org to get more information. And if you need also to mail us, you can mail ACSI Nigeria, info@ACSI Nigeria, info@ACSinigeria.org for more information. I would appreciate you for the privilege.